And welcome to LSRTV, live from Loudon, New Hampshire. It's round 2 of the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series, Chase for the Full Throttle Cup here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. The New England round, going to be round 2 of the Challenger round, as 16 drivers look for 12 spots to advance further in the Chase for the Full Throttle Cup. I'm Jacob Seelman here tonight for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series presented by Garry Mercer Trucking. The New England 120 on tap here at the Magic Mile as we get set to roll, and got a lot of storylines to talk about. Of course, 16 drivers fighting for those 12 all-important spots that mean you advance from the Challenger round to the Contender round. And right now, all 12 of them are still up for grabs because John Higman Jr. was the driver who won in last weekend's Chase opener at Chicagoland Speedway, meaning that a non-chaser spoiled the party for the first time in the 10 races. But right now, the chasers are the ones who are having the party at the front of the field here this evening. Top 4 spots provisionally in qualifying held by Chase contenders, led right now by Adam Benefiel, who was one of our powerhouse drivers last weekend, or last Monday night rather, in Chicago. And right now he tops the charts over Dan Murray, and looking for Eric Brundy's the championship leader. He's back in 11th on the grid right now. That 94 team, though, they've been good, and I don't expect them to stay there for very long. Brundy's maintaining a slim 3-point championship advantage as we get set to roll into tonight, the second of 3 rounds in the Challenger round for the 16 drivers in the chase for the RSR Championship. It's going to be a very, very interesting night, and all 16 of these drivers, they're looking for a win. New Hampshire, a very unpredictable race, and certainly one to keep an eye on. We had yellow fever in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series event on Sunday afternoon, and hoping we won't see yellow fever here tonight. But if Chicagoland, at least the opening laps in Chicagoland were any indication, we may have a caution early. But these guys, they ran 108 consecutive laps without a caution flag to end the event, and now getting ready to grid here tonight for round 2 of the Chase for the Championship. And as they stand, Adam Benefiel going to pick up the pole with a quick lap of 29.733 seconds. Benefiel on the pole alongside the 55 of Dan Murray. Jonathan Cadell, 3rd in car number 11. 4th tonight, the number 2 of Rhett McBride. David Comstock, Justin Wilson on row number 3. Nathan Little on row 4 alongside C.J. LeVere. And rounding out the top 10, Jose Gonzalez and Thomas J. George. So a lot of these chasers already in the top 10 here early tonight. As I bring in my broadcast partner, Evan Pasoko, let's drop a little bit deeper into the field, my friend.
Yeah, Eric Brundy's one of the favorites here for the championship. He's going to be starting in P11. Alongside him, Matt Lacrosse at 21 will start on the outside of that 6th row in P12. Mitch Rollo 1 row back. The number 13 starting position belonging to the number 96 Chevrolet. Steve Gottschalk in the number 14 spot. Kevin Linden going to be starting behind them, 15th alongside with Chase contender Scott Stenzel. John Higman Jr., the number 60, will roll off in 17th. 18th going to be Corbin Himstreet. And row number 10, 19th spot going to be Doug Roth. Brian Harvey, the number 66 cars, could round out the top 20.
A lot of these guys going to have a long road to hoe here early in the going. 21st tonight, Brennan Mercer, another one of our Chase contenders. James Robinson rolling off the grid 22nd. Joey Jattina making a return to the series tonight. He's in 23rd. Brandon Peterson, one of those guys caught up in an early crash last week in Chicagoland, rolls from 24th. Rich Jett going 25th tonight. Sherry Ann Mills in the 07 rolls 26th. 27th to Keith Brooks Jr. Alongside him, Ed Williams Jr. in 28th. Scott Sinley and John Abbott round out the top 30. Sinley was the last of those to take a qualifying time tonight. The rest of these guys, Evan, in on provisional.
Yeah, Michael Woolley, the number 13 machine, is going to be starting in P31 alongside Douglas Wyatt. The number 9 machine will start in 32nd. John Wilco is going to be on the inside of the next row. That's 33rd starting position for him at the number 62 Chevrolet crew. Stephen Herring scheduled to start in P34. He's going to be on the outside of what right now appears to be the last row. Mark Bradger scheduled to start and round off our field in 35th position. However, he is not currently in the sim, so it is going to be 34 cars at the back.
Yeah, 120 laps around this very, very flat 1 mile racetrack, and this track just over a mile in length, actually officially 1.058 miles, the distance around what they call the Magic Mile, the Granite Stripe. We got a lot of things to keep our eyes on tonight, but I'm keeping my eye on one of the guys who's been the fastest guy the last 2 weeks, in my opinion. That 85 Toyota, Adam Benefield, started up front.
Yeah, you're going to need consistency, and this track is always very key for track position. He's going to be starting on the front row. He's going to be leading us in green flag as we round at a corner number 4. You mentioned it, set for 120 laps.
Here we go. iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car pulls off, and Benefield is gone. Green flag in the air. We are racing here at the Magic Mile as the New England 120 gets underway. Adam Benefield pulls the early lead, 3 car lengths ahead of Dan Murray as they're side-by-side back about 7th place. Looks like Jose Gonzalez and Thomas J. George side-by-side off turn 2.
Another battle, you see Rhett McBride there, the 41 machine and 8th and Little, going to go side-by-side. That's for P4. The 41 going the wrong direction on the inside lane. The 58 machine of Justin Wilson is able to pull up sideways with them in 3 and 4. He'll drop back it out of the 41 at 8th and Little is going to get cleared down the front straightaway. So give P5 to him. Still side-by-side back. It is the one of Thomas J. George. Jose Gonzalez, the one on the bottom, trying to make a move, and he got real close. The 58 of Justin Wilson and shut the door off too.
Yeah, Wilson slams the door a little bit back further in the pack. Rhett McBride was one of the guys that I was looking at to maybe make a move in the early going, and he is trying to take a peek down the inside of Jonathan Cadell in 3rd. Not quite close enough to make the move, but right behind Justin Wilson. Jose Gonzalez still trying to hold that bottom lane. Evan, that bottom lane, we saw it Sunday, and we're seeing it again tonight. It's just so tough to make a pass down there. It's so flat here at the Magic Mile.
And Jose's hanging pretty tough right now, still side-by-side with Thomas J. George, and that snap-on number 1 Chevrolet of George is going to get a good run off of 2, and he will clear Jose down into quarter number 3, and Jose Gonzalez not able to find a spot in line on entry because the 21 of Matt Lacrosse kind of dove it in there. He's going to try to get to Jose's outside, and he will do so off of quarter number 4, so Jose Gonzalez is kind of trapped down there at the bottom. Meanwhile, side-by-side up inside the top 4, and the 41's to the bottom. That's Nathan Little. He's on the inside of Rhett McBride. That got closed down into 1, but they are going to be door-to-door off of 2. This is battle for P4.
Yeah, it is, and that battle for P4 heads all the way down the back straightaway there, side-by-side, wheel-to-wheel into turn number 3. McBride on that high lane gets the advantage, and they're watching Justin Wilson in their rearview mirror pull right up to the back bumper of McBride, but now the inside lane going to be the one on the move as Nathan Little, I believe, grabs that spot. Yes, he does, by just the smallest of margins. They're still wheel-to-wheel in turn number 2. Wilson now on the back bumper of Nathan Little. He wants to plow his way through and pick up the 5th spot, and he's trying to do it down the back.
And the 2 machine did not get a good run off of 2 that time by. That's Rhett McBride's. It's going to make it side-by-side, 2 rows deep. The 2 and the 41 continue to go at it, and then the 58 machine and the 1 right behind them. Still about 2 rows deep off of 4. The 1 machine of Thomas J. George, he's going to clear the 58 of Justin Wilson. That was a battle for position number 6, but still going at it for 4th. The 41 and 8th and Little just trying to find that grip that he needs on the bottom to be able to get enough of a run. He's hanging tough with Rhett McBride. McBride's got a nose over him down the back of an 8th and Little. Again, if we see a similar situation occur that happened to Jose as he does, and he's going to be able to prevent that. Looked like he was going to slide in line, and then the 2 of Rhett McBride overshot the corner 3 wide.
Oh, and they make contact. Wilson trying to hang on. Thomas J. George getting in that mix. This is the kind of situation you don't want to put yourself in early on. Here's a chaser. Hang on tight. Wilson holding on. Thomas J. George, the snap-on Chevrolet, trying to pull the crossover. He makes contact with Wilson and now ducks to the inside. Justin Wilson being thrown around like a pinball in turn 3.
And for a moment. Things single file out, but the action is not done because there goes Thomas J. George once again to the bottom, this time at a corner number 4, as race leaders go take lap 7 over to lap number 8. The one machine, and he cleared the 2, yes he does, into the corner. That can set up Brent McBride for a crossover possibility. He puts it down on the bottom lane, and they'll swap spots this time at a corner number 2, still side by side. Trouble off the corner, the 58 of Justin Wilson losing a lot of speed, 2-3 cars, and now the 26 of Jose Gonzalez gets punted into the wall. He's able to hang on to it, a lot more contact, and now the 96-3-1, they hang on for now.
Hold on tight, it's getting dicey. Back in the pack, there's still beating and banging. Wilson, I think, has gotten himself squared away back about the 10th position, but we talk about this being a free-for-all, Evan. That's the kind of situation, if you're a chaser right now and you're back beyond about 6th place, you cannot put yourself in a position this early on in the race. Oh, this is not what these guys want to see.
And Thomas J. George, again, not even, I mean, he was surprised that they were going 3 wide there on that lap number 5 where we saw him going at it off of corner number 3. So it is a little bit early, but this racetrack makes you be aggressive if you want to be successful. The 96 of Mitch Rollo just overdrove it right there down into 1. That's going to allow the 42. How about Scott Stenzel? He's going to pick up P8 after starting back in about 16th position. So 8 spots picked up so far for the number 42 Mittler Brothers Chevrolet. Stenzel championship contender moving forward quickly as we work lap 10.
Yeah, and one of the other drivers who is not moving forward at all is the championship leader, 94, Eric Brundis. He is back there in P11, right where he started this race, and he's not been able to go forward at all. Brundis, the Shell Pennzoil Ford Fusion, stuck back there just on the outside of the top 10, but he's trying to make a move on the 58 of Justin Wilson. That is the battle for the 10th position, but the car I'm looking at a little bit further back in the pack, around 14th place with a new paint scheme. Last week's winner, the 60 of John Hickman Jr. And Evan, how about that? A throwback Coors paint scheme. That's some colors that I haven't seen in a long time, but that is a slick-looking race car tonight.
Yeah, mixing it up there in his number 64. Meanwhile, about a lap ago, we have a change for the number 1 spot. It is Dan Murray, Jacob, after it looked like Adam Benefield had opened up about a half-a-second gap. That 55 Royal Toyota has been able to go to the point. Benefield's not letting him get away. We know that Adam Benefield is fast. He's shown really a lot of speed in these last few weeks. His team has really picked it up when it matters the most, and he rides right now, but a car length off the back bump of the 55. I can guarantee you he's not going to give this one up easily. As
trouble back in the pack! Jonathan Cadell goes around the number 11. That's one of our chase contenders. He's sideways down the back straightaway. Everybody scattering. That is not what we needed to see here at lap number 13. Evan, yikes.
And that's the self-spin. Off corner number 2, we've seen these guys get, you know, 2 wide situations, but you're going to have to trace that one back to his corner. It looks like he went a little bit high and just overdrove it off the corner. And I mean, by the time that thing snapped around, he had no chance of keeping it. He did a good job because a lot of times, Jacob, we'll see somebody get loose off a 2, and there's a lot of tires up against that inside wall, which are not friendly to race cars on iRacing. So a solid job by Jonathan Cadell to be able to spin it around, keep it off the wall. It did bring out a caution because he went around on the racing surface, so we do slow down and gather up behind the pace car. Interesting enough to note, just before that caution, Dan Murray went low and let Adam Benefield pass him on the back straightaway, so Benefield going to lead him down pit road from the number 1 spot.
Yeah, and see, we talk about this. You've got to finish if you want to have a chance to advance in this chase. And I know no damage to the 11 of Jonathan Cadell, but certainly he loses a lot of positions, and that's not what he needed right here in the early going. And you said it right there, Benefield, Murray, and the rest of this pack going down the pit lane right here. Cadell going to come down as well. Boy, a lot of quick service going on right here, but I don't think Jose Gonzalez, he either did not pit or he used some extreme strategy here in the early going, because he's already out behind the pace car, and it looks like if he did pit, he would be scored as the new race leader.
Yeah, Jose right now rides in P1, and he did not come down the pit lane, so Jose may come down the next time. He may do the strategy that is not uncommon to see the 26 crew of staying out to lead a lap. Also interesting enough to note, he was not the only car that stayed out. The number 20 of David Comstock is out there as well, riding P2 in the Monster Energy machine. It looks like that Jose is going to come down pit road this time by. He will, so that is actually going to cycle the number 20 out to the race lead. And look at that 60 machine of John Higman Jr. going to be second in the running order as they round 3 and 4 and catch back up to the pace car. He's going to do that via a 2-tire right side only call.
John Higman Jr.'s just not done spoiling the party. Up there in second in the Coors Ford, a throwback paint scheme on that machine. And, you know, we came with Adam Benefield, the race leader, and Evan 17.7 on a 4-tire pit stop. That is disastrous when you put 34 cars on pit road. Benefield was the leader. He'll restart, looks like, in the 10th position.
And that's uncommon to see, especially because Adam Benefield, after qualifying on pole position, he'll have that most wanted pit stall down at the very end of the pit road where you don't even really have to get up to speed before you get that scoring loop there, the line there, which times these cars off at a pit lane. So typically, if you qualify on pole, you have that end of the stall, you're going to have the best time off of pit road, so you have a little bit of room, but 17 seconds is no good. You have to think, did he stay in? Did he get a little bit of damage fixed? I don't think he had any, but I checked. It's not like he overshot his stall or anything, but a really slow stop, and that has him marred back to about P8 once the scoring cycles through this time by.
Wow, so Benefield's going to have a long road to hoe. The only benefit that he has right now is he's on that outside lane, which is proven to be the stronger lane here at the Magic Mile. And I want to talk about that for a couple seconds before we go back green flag racing, Evan, because unlike in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, the leader, David Comstock, on this round of caution flag, he does not get to choose the inside or the outside lane. He's locked into that inside lane. I don't know that it pays to be the race leader under the caution flag here tonight. I think you want to start from that outside lane.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see even inside versus the outside back in the pack. Again, obviously, you're going to have the race leader in control, but will this plane to Dan Murray? He'll be behind the race leader, or will Nathan Little get it? We're going to have to keep our eyes on that second row, but at a corner before getting set for a first restart off the first gear.
Pace car's in. Here goes David Comstock, green flag in the air, and he'll rocket from the inside lane, try to bring Dan Murray with him. Comstock to the lead. Higman, Murray, they're battling for second in turn number 1. Higman in the Coors Ford going to get the advantage for a moment, but here comes the Amsoil Toyota to the inside. That's the battle for second. They're wheel to wheel off turn number 2.
Dan Murray did a good job to and off there to be able to pull a nose up over John Higman Jr. down to the corner. That 60 machine goes high, way up nearly to the fence. Going to 55 get clear of him. That is Dan Murray. Looks like he is going to get P2, and now the one of Thomas J. George going to be the next challenger. Interested enough to see they're going to the inside to try to make these passes. The 60 machine up top has been the preferred lane in these opening laps here when we saw guys making passes in those first few laps inside the top 10, but the one's going to get clear of it as well, and now the 41 and Nathan Little. So 60 of John Higman Jr., although he has the preferred lane, not doing very well on that outside lane. Little's going to get clear, and here comes Adam Benefield on those 4 tires at a corner number 4.
That's what we call, on the service and in real life, Evan, getting clotheslined, or in other terms, hung out to dry. You're going backwards, and you're going backwards in a hurry. Benefield trying to take another peek to the inside on the 41 and Nathan Little now. But, you know, I'm looking at this inside lane. I think if you want to make that inside work, you've got to do it really quickly on these restarts. As we see almost 3 wide, Higman tried to stick his nose in there. Nathan Little said that's not happening. That killed Higman's momentum. That's allowing Rhett McBride to challenge for the number 6 spot, but he'll fall back into line. And you know, I was looking at that. I want to go back to that thought real quick, Evan. This inside lane, if you want to make it work, you've got to do it really quickly on these restarts, because I think after you put about 5-6 laps on these tires, that inside lane's going to go away. You're going to have to go where the banking is in that second and even that third groove up by the wall.
Yeah, down there on the bottom, there's only 2 degrees of banking. These race cars want that banking so you can lean on those right side tires to get this thing to turn. So, meanwhile, how about David Comstock? We saw him, he showed a lot of speed at Chicago, Jacob, early in the qualifier in the opening laps. And he kind of dropped back right now, running up P1 in the Monster Energy machine over Dan Murray. The top 2 have pulled away from the rest of the field by about 0.6 of a second, but Adam Benefield is closing on all of them. He's back at the P4.
Yeah, he is. Benefield coming alive right now in that number 85 Toyota, and John Higman Jr. still going backwards right now. He's got two chasers right there on him and around him. The 42 is Scott Stenzel, the Mittler Brothers machine, and the 58 of Justin Wilson. They're trying to take position away as they look. Wilson looks up the middle. It's trying to go 3 wide off turn number 2. He holds it back into line and leaves that number 42 Mittler Brothers Chevrolet to do battle with him now into turn number 3. And John Higman Jr., he gets a little bit of breathing room as Stenzel's going to get around the 58 of Justin Wilson and hold that 8th position.
His 42 is going to slide back up in line. John Higman Jr. has balanced back out. He was able to get back in line, which puts him P7 right now in the Coors Ford, but I mean, still sliding back significantly from where he was, and it looks like that he's got a lot of speed on his back bumper. The 42 had a great run, had to check up a little bit off exit, and nearly opened the door for Justin Wilson. Oh, the 42 is going to go to the inside. What an aggressive move by Scott Stenzel. He almost forces that 60 machine up the racetrack and give that spot to Stenzel. He'll go back up to P7 as the 58er Justin Wilson. He wants 8th once again as that 60 machine of John Higman Jr. once again is stuck on that outside lane, and we're getting by him on the bottom, 58, and now the 69 of Hemstreet.
You don't think Scott Stenzel knows it's round 2 of 3 and he needs to get some points to advance in the chase, does he? That was absolutely a very aggressive move early in this race. We're only coming to complete 25 of 120 laps. And while we were focused on that battle, there was a change for 3rd. Adam Benefield, the 85 Toyota. He's worked his way around the lot of Thomas J. George, the Snap-on Chevrolet, moving back to position number 4. And while all that's going on, I've got my eye on the championship leader. He was 11th when the green flag flew, Evan. He is now back to 14th on the grid. He is struggling, Eric Brundys is in the early goings. I think this is the first time I've seen the 94 Shell Pennzoil Ford Fusion struggle all day.
And 3 wide in front of him as Corbin Hemstreet was way out of the groove, and that's going to force the 21 of Matt Lacrosse into the middle. He'll back out of that, but remember, Eric Brundys, you look at the score sheet, he comes home with a P4 result at Chicago, but really was not that strong. He was able to mount a late race charge and be able to sneak up there, but he was kind of running around P10 last week, Jacob, and once again tonight riding P14. So after being so dominant in the races just prior to the start of the chase, the 94, and he'll be, I think if he runs where he is right now, he's going to easily survive this first round as they're going down from 16 to 12 drivers. But once we keep moving on in this chase for the championship, that 94 is going to get back in a groove that we saw him in earlier in the season about a month or 2 ago.
Yeah, and I think I said the day, I meant to say the entire season. I think this is about the worst I've seen that 94 team as a whole since the beginning of the RSR season. They've made a hallmark of finishing in the top 10, top 5 just about every single race, and it's so puzzling to us to see them back in this kind of a position, because you're right, Evan, you can't run 14th, 15th, 16th and expect to be able to advance when we get down to the, even the round of 8, and especially the round of 4, you're going to have to be top 10, and some even think top 5, as we've got one car, I think Brennan Mercer, going around on the back straightaway. He's going for a ride.
And he's off in the grass. The 78 machine is over the radio. Brandon Peterson taking responsibility as we try to get a replay up. That was lap 29 off of 2. And it looks like Peterson caught the wall. Jacob bounced right down and just knocked Brennan right down there into the grass. He did get that left side up against the inside retaining wall. Does get some significant damage from it, but looks like the Garry Mercer Trucking.com Chevrolet is able to keep on going. He'll remain on the lead lap for the time being, obviously with some damage, but because it was off the racing surface, most importantly, we stay clean and green, and have a feeling we're getting ready for a pass for the lead. Dan Murray closing in quick. That's David Comstock in the #1 spot.
Yeah, Comstock had breathing room. He has none right now. The Amsoil Toyota is there, and so quickly the number 85 of Adam Benefield has charged his way back up to 8 car lengths in arrears. It's about to be a 3-horse race for the lead right now. The Monster Energy Chevrolet of David Comstock leading, and he wiggles off turn number 4, trying to hold it together. It's about a car length now as we complete 31 of 120 laps. We are quarter distance right now, watching this battle for the lead. Murray is there in 2.
Yeah, Ken, we saw this last week with Comstock. He was second fastest in practice. He had a top 5 qualifying effort, and he's able to lead those first few laps. But once we get on a decently late green flag run, the number 20 machine out of the Cody Pius Racing stable just starts to come back to everybody. Adam Benefield has closed in what was a 1.6 second lead to about a half a second gap between him and Comstock. Dan Murray right in the middle of them, so top 3 separated by less than half of a second, and then they have about 2.5 seconds above for the 4th on back, so it really is a 3-horse race. Comstock has picked it up a little bit the last few laps, knowing that Dan Murray was on his bumper. It's going to be about 3 car lengths to the top 2.
Yeah, it is, and it's about 3 car lengths from first to second, about 3 more from second on back to third. And as you said, from there, it's a long way back to Thomas J. George, Nathan Little, 4th and 5th, Rhett McBride, Justin Wilson, Scott Stenzel, John Higman, and Corbin Hemstreet round out the top 10. As a little bit further back, we've got a hornet's nest, and keeping an eye on Eric Brundys, he's starting to move forward up to P11.
Doug Roth way up the hill, and the way you got to enter these corners when these guys are right on each other's bumper, the guy that's behind somebody, he's going to break early as we go 3 wide. He's 66 of Brian Harvey to the bottom. Doug Roth to the outside. That Ani would have got struck down through the middle, but when you're riding somebody's bumper, you're going to break a little bit earlier to avoid getting into him. That causes a checkup, which is kind of what we saw happen to Jose Gonzalez when Jose got sent off at a wall in 3 and 4. So that's why you'll see a lot of these cars moving around down through these corners. But that was all around the 94 to Brundys. He's been able to get clear and actually pick up 3 spots from that Jacob. He's going to be P11 right now and is doing a solid job. He's chasing down that 21 to Matt Lacrosse, which would be a first top 10 spot.
And that's a little bit more what we're used to from Eric Brundys. As back up at the front of this field, David Comstock still able to hold about a 3-car length advantage over the Amsoil Toyota Dan Murray, although just as I say that, Murray closes it way down, got a great run off turn number 2. It's now 2 car lengths as it looks like John Higman Jr. going a lap down right here. Not sure what the problem is there, although looking at it, he may have just hit pit road.
Thomas J. George is going to allow the 41 at 8th and Little to get through and clear, so that was going to be for P4. So move Nathan Little up into that spot after starting in the number 7 position, but the gap is slowly being closed in between Dan Murray and David Comstock. However, at the same time, Adam Benefield is probably going to be taking P2, and now the 20 is going to yield low. That's going to allow Dan Murray to go back to the point. Adam Benefield will now go to 2nd position, and last time we saw the 55 leading over the 85, he let him go. So do we see Dan Murray get out of the way, or will he race Adam Benefield for a little bit? It's a car lane.
It is a car length, and I just got worried about John Higman, and the 2 cars painted nearly identical. We've got a Coors throwback and a Bud throwback, and that was the 9 of Douglas Wyatt. He just went a lap down in the Bud number 9 machine, so apologies on the mix-up there, but right now we have got a thrilling battle for the lead. It's less than a car length in turns 3 and 4. Benefield running about a half groove higher than Dan Murray is right now, but the Toyotas, they've locked out the top 2 spots as of the moment, and Benefield trying to outrun for the lead. They head back to turn 1.
And this is when our leaders are going to be start to working some lap traffic. You see right there in front of him, the number 65 Delphi Ford machine. They're going to go to the high side as he will yield low, so no issues there. As the number 65 machine will go a lap down, that will be Ed Williams Jr. He's actually going to lose his 8th lap from that one as the top 3 get clear of him. A little bit of trouble for Justin Wilson just a lap ago. Caught the fence out at corner number 4. He rides P6 at the moment just in front of Rhett McBride. And it does not appear that it has caused significant damage to the 58 of Justin Wilson. But turn 2 not being kind to the 58 the last few times around is Adam Benefield continuing to try to close. And Dan Murray's actually pulled about half a car length on him the last 2 laps.
Yeah, he has, and we're coming right now to complete lap number 40. That is 1/3 distance here in the New England 120. We're going to pause for a little bit of business. When we come back, more from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. You're watching LSRTV and the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series right now. Dan Murray, your race leader.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks and terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Welcome back to LSRTV here from Loudon, New Hampshire, the New England 120 for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series, Round 2 of the chase for the Full Throttle Cup. Jacob Seelman and Evan Pasoka here in the broadcast booth at the Magic Mile, and right now working 49 of 120 laps. And Dan Murray, your race leader, over Adam Benefield, David Comstock, Nathan Little, Thomas J. George, the top 5 right now, as Eric Brundys has worked his way back into the top 10. But what we were watching during the commercial break here, Evan, a couple of cars getting really squirrely. The 36, a Rich Jet among them.
Yeah, coming off of 4 on lap 37, was approaching very fast. I mean, 2 wide battle, and because those cars in front of him were battling, he did a great run off of 4, and looked like he might have tried to go to the bottom to make it 3 wide and just turned that wheel too much, back end stepped out. Did a really good job of hanging on to it, kept it out of the inside wall, did not come back up into traffic, didn't actually even spin it around, kept the thing pointed forward. He has slid back to about P20 as he runs right now. He's behind Jose Gonzalez, but does a solid job to keep that 36 in the race as we come up to about 10 laps of the halfway point.
Yeah, and as they run right now, we got a battle for the lead in turn number 3. Benefield trying to take a look down the inside of the 55 of Dan Murray, who's going to be able to use a lap car right there as a pick to stay ahead. Two Toyotas dicing it out for the race lead. I thought Benefield had a really good look. He just seems to be a little bit better right now through the center of the corner than the 55 of Dan Murray. And now he looks to the inside again, down the back straightaway and into turn number 3. Change for the lead here at lap number 52. Adam Benefield to the point. Murray now trying the crossover in 4.
He's not able to get it done, and I did not think that Murray was going to be able to hold off Benefield for that long. So the 55 Vanzoil machine will drop back to P2. He's been overtaken by Adam Benefield, who has really just been dominating these last few weeks. Came up one position short of locking himself into the next round, Jacob, last week at Chicagoland. But he is second right now in the championship standings. Only needs to be top 12 to get his way through. So if he continues to run where he is now, I'm pretty sure he'll be essentially locked in, if not locked in on points, going into next week's race. But I'm sure he wouldn't mind punching his ticket to the next round with a trip to victory lane. The 85 already opening up half a second of a gap.
Yeah, he has. That Benefield Toyota's been really good. Can we give a call, though, to the Monster Energy Chevrolet car number 20, David Comstock, who's done a really solid job right now of hanging with these two chase contenders. Comstock, a relative newcomer to the series, just making his second start here tonight. And the Cody Bias Racing Monster Energy Chevrolet, he has done a very nice job. He stayed within shouting distance, really, of the race leaders the entire night. Thought he was going to lead some laps. Dan Murray has kind of thwarted that effort for now, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him be a contender. He was good at Chicagoland, led a few laps there, and that number 20 machine, he could be a threat to spoil the party before this is over, just like the 60 of John Hickman Jr. did last week.
And now we've kind of spread out. Again, we said that the top 3 were running away. They had about a 3-second gap. It's been extended now to 4.7 seconds and now 5.1 because Nathan Little, the 41 machine, in the number 4 spot. Over 5 seconds back. Benefield loves that clean air. 7/10 already over Dan Murray. Comstock is starting to slide off of Dan Murray. We got to replay some more trouble, Jacob.
Yeah, we did have some more trouble last lap by C.J. LeVere, another one of our chase contenders. He's dropping back. He went for a ride through the grass in the number 4 machine and has dropped back about 5 or 6 positions now. We'll work on getting a replay of that, but C.J. LeVere having some trouble. Several of our chasers in trouble now as we take a look at what happened to the number 4 machine, Evan. It's been a tough night all around for that camp.
And more tough luck for the 26 of Jose Gonzalez. Remember him and Brandon Peterson getting involved in an incident in the opening laps at Chicagoland Speedway. Both those drivers championship hopefuls. Jose got sent into the turn 3 and 4 wall earlier on in the going and just got into the back of the 36 of Rich Jet. Neither of those cars showing any significant damage as they run P19 and P20 respectively. But Jose is another one of those drivers that really needs a solid finish tonight or he will be in some serious risk of losing his top 12 position in the championship standings in order to advance on to the next round. He enters tonight in P15.
Yeah, and it's tough right now. We've got a lot of these guys who dug themselves a hole in Chicagoland. They did not need another subpar run, and that's exactly what some of them are getting right now. Not so, though, for Adam Benefield and Dan Murray doing exactly what they need to do as we come up. We'll complete lap number 59 next time by and be 1 lap away from halfway. So knowing that, we're going to go ahead and take a look at our iRacing Ford First mid-race leaderboard. Ford, drive 1. Adam Benefield, your race leader. Dan Murray, second. David Comstock rides third. Nathan Little, fourth. Thomas J. George holding down the 5th spot as they run. Scott Stenzel, the Mittler Brothers machine, has worked his way up to 6th. Justin Wilson rides 7th. Rhett McBride in 8th. Eric Brundis has now picked off another spot. He's in 9th ahead of Matt Lacrosse, the number 21, in 10th.
The Corbin Hemstreet, the number 69 Boomtown Sim team, is riding P11 right now and just had a close call with Matt Lacrosse down in the corner number 3. Jonathan Cadell rides in 12th. Scott Simley, the number 68 Budweiser machine, is in 13th. Steve Gottschalk in the number 14 position. Brian Harvey right now battling, trying to hang on to what is P15. Doug Roth runs 16th at the moment. He has a challenger, the 06 of Joey Chitina, who was 17th by the stripe, wants that spot from him. They battle through 1 and 2. That's a 3-car battle going on actually for 15th, 16th, and 17th. Brandon Peterson sits right now in the number 18 position. Jose Gonzalez, again, which we just talked about, 19th and 20th.
Kevin Linden rides 21st. To 22nd now, Mitch Rollo just picking off a position. John Higman Jr., we saw him gamble to move up to second. Well, he's fallen all the way back to the tail end of the lead lap in 23rd, in jeopardy of going 1 lap down to race leader Adam Benefiel. Right now, C.J. LeVere, 24th. He is the next car to fall a lap in arrears. And 25th is James Robinson. He and CJ, the final 2 cars on the lead lap right now. Keith Brooks Jr., 26th, is 1 lap down. Brennan Mercer, 27th, about to go a 2nd lap down here this evening. Sherry Ann Mills, 28th. 29th, John Wilco, 30th. Douglas Wyatt, 31st. Stephen Herring, 32nd. Ed Williams Jr. and Michael Woolley, 15 laps down. The final car in the sim tonight. He is 33rd, the last car in the running order. That's a look at your iRacing Ford First mid-race leaderboard, and now we have 63 laps complete here tonight at Loudon, New Hampshire, and what we're seeing is a power show by the 85 Toyota of Adam Benefiel here in the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series, presented by Garry Mercer Trucking. Evan, he's got no challengers right now as John Higman Jr. gets into the wall off turn number 2. Benefiel will quickly sweep to the inside, but that number 85 Toyota, ever since they switched the paint scheme from solid black to basically white with some colorful highlights there, that car's been fast ever since they turned the paint scheme reversed, and boy, he's just running away from it right now.
That was a 7 that caught the wall, so James Robinson will go the first car 2 laps down. John Higman Jr. losing 2 laps as well into number 60 Coors machine. And trouble with the 55 machine, that's Dan Murray. Now he's still going, he's chasing the number 7. Have a caution.
Yeah, we do, and it is Dan Murray. He did go around, he tried to save it, ended up very slow on the apron. Yellow is out at lap number 65, and the race's other dominant car, one of the 2 dominant Toyotas tonight, Dan Murray. We're going to pull up a replay right now to take a look what happened. He crosses the line. It looks like he had such a gap on the rest of this field. He will still cross the line in position number 7, but we're going to take a look at what happened right here to the Amsoil Toyota. He loses 5 spots, but it does not look like any major damage to that number 55 down the back straightaway.
And that's not the first time that we have seen the car of a self-spin at a corner number 2 tonight, and much like the first incident, the 55 was able to hang on to it. He was just able to keep it off the guardrail, got back going, and again, because we were so spread out, he's able to maintain a P7 running position. So, leader's going to come down pit road, led by Adam Benefiel for pit stops under the caution flag period, just past the halfway point.
Yeah, and I'm right down here keeping an eye on both Adam Benefiel in the 85, the race leader, and the Monster Energy Chevrolet. This front section of pit road is Benefiel. Right side work going on that machine as it is on the Monster Energy Chevrolet. David Comstock, both of those teams having solid pit stops right now, and Benefiel easily going to win the race off pit road. Comstock's going to second. Looks like 4 tires and Sunoco fuel for just about everybody on this end of pit road.
The 1 machine of Thomas J. George is able to exit pit road in 3rd. He will knock the 41 1/8 Little from that number 3 spot back into number 4. And Scott Stenzel's going to go up to the highest position he's seen all night long. He's been able to get up to 6th position twice in a race. He'll be a top 5 running car. The number 42 will be on that inside of the 3rd row off of pit lane. Dan Murray caused the caution shakeup. 6th place, not bad of a recovery or, damage control there on the 55 team, because he'll stay top 10 after having a close call off too.
He'll stay top 10 for now. The question is, will he keep it in the officials' eyes? We've seen situations like this where drivers will get an end of the longest line penalty. So that's going to be the question, is will they penalize the number 55 machine of Dan Murray and put him to the tail for this restart? I'm looking at scoring right now. CJ Rivera is not yet pitted. He'll stay out to pick up a bonus point. Lead a lap here at the Magic Mile, but he's pulled down to the bottom of the racetrack. I would have to imagine that he may be coming to pit road next time by.
Yeah, that's a safe assumption to take. Again, we've seen the 26 machine do that earlier on in the race. Jose Gonzalez stay out, get the bonus point for the leading lap, and then come back down pit road to get your scheduled service. That is going to cycle him through to the tail end of these lead lap cars, but again, needing whatever bonus points you can get, as he does bring the number 4 Coca-Cola Chevrolet down this time by at a corner number 4. CJ, a driver that is on the bubble, as entering tonight, he rides around not too far away from the cutoff, what I think is about P9. So CJ Lavere is hanging on to it, and he's talking with race control about something with, he's going to be black flagged for coming down pit road.
Lavere is?
He's received the black flag for entering closed pits.
Oh my. So you talk about nails in the coffins of chase contenders. That is not what CJ Lavere needed right here. We're doubling up for a restart, though, and it's going to put the 85 of Adam Benefiel to the race lead. Here, we're going to get the green flag with 69 complete and about 51 laps to go. It's going to be Benefiel and Comstock on the front row, as just like I suspected, Dan Murray dropping to the end of the longest line, and I'm waiting, pace car to pit road. Here we go, Benefiel's gone, green flag back in the air, we're rolling. Comstock to second, Thomas J. George to third, Nathan Little to fourth. The first battle for fifth looks like Wilson, Stenzel, Brundys, they're all in the mix in one.
And that was real bad news for Dan Murray, because he did not get that EOL until the field was in 3 and 4, so he had to let everybody by before the stripe, and then finally had to get back going. So he's going to be significantly off of these lead lap cars, about 6 seconds back that time by the stripe. As at a quarter number 4, it is side-by-side for side-by-side battle. Is going to be back in the back. How about that 94 machine? Eric Brundy starting to pick it up. He was 7th that time by the start-finish line, and an updated Dan Murray is going to be about 7.7 seconds back in P24.
Never question the championship leader. When it's go time, it's go time, and Brundys will make the move forward. However, battle for the lead up front, and it's not even a battle. David Comstock and Adam Benefiel, boy, both of them have come to play, but Comstock, the Monster Energy Chevrolet, powers to the race lead. He'll take it away and look to become the second non-chaser to spoil the show. Here in the New England Magic Mile, he leads it as they head to turn 3.
Comstock's got a great short-run car. I think Adam Benefiel, if he can get to that clean air here after about 20 laps, will just set sail like he did the last time. Again, he had trouble getting around Dan Murray when Murray ran into number 1 position. As soon as he got clear, nearly immediately checked out to about a second lead. So you see the 20 Comstock run up front right now, but again, we keep mentioning how this is the same way we saw him at Chicago, where started the race very strong, dropped back on the long green flag runs. Comstock, the number 20 machine, I think has the best short run car. You see he's put about 0.4 of a second on Adam Benefiel, but the 85 doing some better tire management. Benefiel will pick it back up here about 20 laps, 30 laps into the run. You'll see that 20 machine start to come back to Adam Benefiel right now. He's checking out 0.48 seconds in front.
Side-by-side battle back in the pack around the 13th position. Doug Roth, Steve Gottschalk going side-by-side. Gottschalk gets loose on the bottom of the racetrack. They still go side-by-side. The Pepsi machine, the number 91, trying to work that inside lane. He is 12th. He is going to lose the 12th position now to Doug Roth. The Richard Petty driving experience, number 43, goes side-by-side. And here comes Gottschalk one more time, trying to make that inside move work, but they're side-by-side behind them as well. Brandon Peterson, the Furniture Row Chevrolet, trying to make a move. That is a battle around the 16th position. He's trying to get around Joey Dutina for 15.
Yeah, that 70 needs a good race tonight. Again, another one of the drivers. He got tangled up with Jose Gonzalez last week. He's going to get sideways off at 2. Has to take about a step down the hill a little bit, 1-2 lanes. He's able to hang on to it. That allows the 11 of Jonathan Cadell to get to his outside. But again, that number 78 Denver Matchers team entered tonight at the very back of the chase standings. in 16th position. So needs a solid run. I'm sure he would like to pick up a couple more spots than where he runs right now in order to try to get as many points back as he can. How about that move right there? The 11 and Jonathan Cadell kind of split the gap and going down into one, and now he's battling with Joey Jettina. That's going to be for P15.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, Evan, talk about another guy who we've not heard much from, even after he finished third in the regular season championship points, is that 11 machine of Jonathan Cadell. He's been absolutely nowhere through 2 races in this chase. He's back here in 16th. You know, he was in the top 5 all the way through the regular season, but he's another one that if he doesn't have a good run tonight, he could be in danger of missing the chase when we go to Dover next week. And he is leaning on Brandon Peterson as one car behind him gets sideways. That's Rich Jett again in the Mrs. T's number 36 machine. That car's looked squirrely all night long, just hasn't been able to hold it on the bottom as Cadell leans on Peterson one more time.
At these 3 chase contending cars, the 26, the 11, the 7, 8, they've been trying to battle these cars that are lead lap cars that is for position, but they're not chase cars because Jose got caught up that Audi 1 machine, the Steve Gottschalk. You see that Pepsi machine going to make a move on Doug Roth now, 2 wide, 2 rows deep. The Audi 1 did not get off of 3 good at all about 3 laps ago, and that held that 26 of Jose up a lot. Jose up the hill, he's going to get into Joey Jettina. Joey's going to hang on to it.
Oh, 1 car around!
That's not, it looks like the 66 of Harvey's in the grass.
Yeah, Brian Harvey was the one that went for a ride. Caution flag flies as we complete 78, working 79. So about 42 laps to go, and the caution flag flies for just the 3rd time in this race. 3rd time tonight, and we come up on the 2/3 mark of this race. Is Brian Harvey going to be the one that brings out, just again, Evan, the 3rd caution flag of this race? It's been a lot cleaner than we expected tonight.
Yeah, again, we were talking about how Joey Jettina and those chase cars were trying to get around him, and Jettina is not satisfied with the way that all went down. So his view was that the 26 just drove straight into his door. The other drivers around him claiming that there may have been a little bit of net code, which is one of these scenarios that you always have to deal with in the iRacing sim, and unfortunately it is an innocent bystander in Brian Harvey who ends up down in the grass, and surprised that one actually brought it a caution considering how far off of the racing surface he was. It does put us under yellow. He was down on those access roads there by the pit road entrance, but we are going to slow him down once again, and just inside of 40 to go, David Comstock stays out. Adam Benefield going to lead the cars down the pit lane. Looks like Nathan Little going to stay out as well. Now it's where it gets exciting.
Hello, pit strategy. Comstock and Little going to be your top 2 as Benefield gets his service on pit road. We're going to step aside for another caution flag, take care of some business. It is 2/3 of the way through the New England 120. We are 39 laps away from the checkered flag from New Hampshire. This is LSRTV. We'll be back right after this.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental US, including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Welcome back to New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Green flag just back in the air about a half lap ago, and the battle for the lead is now David Comstock and Eric Brundys. The 94 powers to the inside, takes position number 2 away. Comstock is on no tires. Brundys has got 2. One quick wrap up from the caution flag. Pit stop, speeding penalties for 2 of our top 3 before the caution. Adam Benefiel in the 85, the race's dominant race car, and Thomas J. George in the snap-on number 1, both receiving speeding penalties that have dropped them well back in the running order to 22nd and 23rd as they run.
Oh,
we got one car in the grass again down the back straightaway, Evan. Oh boy, caution flag is gonna fly. Oh my, that was a mess.
And it all starts with the 4 machine. The car that's going to go around is the 60 of John Hickman Jr. But much like we've seen a handful of times tonight, Jacob, the Ford of LeVere just gets sideways off the corner. The 60 machine of John Hickman Jr. merges to the right to try to get away from him and just comes right up over the nose of the 66. The 66 is going to check up, but that 60 is in the middle of the racetrack, and the 7 machine going to get collected in that one. That's James Robinson, who was the last car on the lead lap at the time. Looks like the incident is going to be limited to those 2 machines, but we quickly go back under the yellow flag conditions. David Comstock up P1, but you mentioned there under the break. How about Eric Brundys back up the 2nd spot?
Never bet against the championship leader. I'm telling you, Evan. This plays right into Brundys' wheelhouse. Don't be very assuming during the early portion of the race, but be good when it counts. It may have taken him 90 laps to get his car where he wants it, but now Brundys is right there in the mix. He'll restart on the front row. I never counted him out for a minute here. I just said he was struggling earlier. I wasn't worried about it.
Well, that last yellow, we had a 3-way, 3 different decisions. We had no tires, people stay out. We had a couple of 2 tires. We had a lot of 4 tires. Now, you mentioned Adam Benefiel, who was cycled back to back, and Thomas J. George, who got cycled back. They currently run right now what I believe is going to be about 17th and 18th. There's a couple cars mid-pack towards the tail end. Came back down once again for some more service, maybe some more fresh tires that include some of our chase contenders, CJ LeVere. There's a couple other guys back there that came down pit road. Looks like Brandon Peterson was one of them in his Furniture Road Toyota. But I want to see what Brundys can do here, because I still think that David Comstock has the best short-run car. Is this the point in the race where we're just going to see caution after caution after caution, which will prevent Brundys from maybe getting the green flag run that he needs to get around Comstock? Because I think that 20 machine is really good right off these restarts, but we'll have to see. We got 2 laps until we go back green.
Yeah, it's a non-chaser versus 2 chasers in the top 3, and Hemstreet's not a chaser, Lacrosse isn't a chaser, Mitch Rollo in 10th isn't a chaser. There's about 4 or 5 of them in the top 10 here, and I'll tell you, the party is not as easy for these guys as you might think, Evan. We thought that some of these guys were going to be able to win a race to advance, but right now, the way it's looked these last 2 weeks, you may have to focus on having a good points day for a lot of these chase races, because I don't know that it's going to be so easy as these guys winning a race to punch their ticket to the next round. The non-chasers have turned up the wick.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about last week at Chicagoland, it was John Higman Jr. who was able to get the win over Adam Benefield, over Thomas J. George, over Brundage, McBride, Cadell, and all those chase guys. So right now, Comstock's trying to do the same thing. How about Corbin Hemstreet also having a solid night out? The number 69 machine runs right now P4. He has a lot of speed. He's shown it, but has not been able to put together really an outstanding race, I want to say, as he rides again outside of that second lane. Lights are on for the pace car. We're going to go back green for 31 laps to go. Don't count out that Boomtown Sims Chevrolet. We'll have to see if Corbin Hemstreet is able to capitalize on this running right now.
Yeah. John Hickman Jr. has taken that car behind pit wall. His night at 1 week after winning at Chicagoland is over. So tough break for the number 60 Coors 4 here tonight. Hickman done, but we have still got a lot of storylines left to go. 31 laps to settle it here at the Magic Mile. iRacing Ford first pace car hits pit road. Comstock brings them down slow. Green flag in the air. Side by side for the lead into turn number 1. Brundage now falling right back into line. He wants to get to the bottom lane. It's side by side for third. Corbin Hemstreet versus Nathan Little.
And Hemstreet's going to be on the outside, and it is the 41 and Nathan Little on the bottom. They're going to get right on each other's door off the corner. Going to be side by side, a drag race down the back straightaway, down the corner. Number 3, Nathan Little, the 41, trying to play some defense. He gets into the left turn. The 69 of Corbin Hemstreet up. He's into the wall. He'll hang on to it, but there goes that top 5. 3 wide as everybody scatters. And out trouble the 2, Rhett McBride hard into the wall.
Yeah, and McBride wasn't the only chaser involved in that. That is a tough break. Caution flag is out. We're going to try to sift through this. I thought maybe Cadell got into it back there. Check that. It was the 1. I knew I saw a 1 somewhere in there. Thomas J. George and Rhett McBride, both heavy damage. 2 of our championship contenders. I don't want to just call them chasers, Evan. These are 2 guys who could easily have won the championship at Homestead, and now they're in a pile of junk.
Yeah, and we have a disagreement, obviously, as it always is in racing, between the 1 machine and the 2 machine, and it was the 69 that was way up the hill again. Hemstreet, we had guys down on the apron 2, 3, 4 wide at points trying to get around it, and the case that Rhett McBride is trying to give is the 1 machine being a little bit too aggressive there back of the pack as everybody was checking up. The 1 machine standpoint on that is the 2 cut down on him. You have to say it looks like the 2 car, Rhett McBride, was doing the right thing. He was trying to get out of the way, but it looks like he just came down over the nose at that 1 machine, but it is the 1 of Thomas J. George who gets the worst end of it because heavy black smoke pouring from that engine, and he is not currently out on the racetrack.
Nor is that, I take that back. I thought Rhett McBride had pulled it to the pit area. Instead, he is still out there. I'm looking at that number 2 machine. Looks like some damage to the left front corner of that number 2 of Rhett McBride. He's able to continue, as you said, Evan, the 1, Thomas J. George, not as lucky. So, wow.
And we got just this, it goes further back, Jacob, because we had a little bit of more contact between the 2 and the 1 car, and they continue to exchange some thoughts over the radio, but this goes back. They did not get into each other on their own doing because everybody scattered off of 4 when there was that slow car up high. But these cars had some history just a lap prior, down into 3. The 1 machine just got into 3 way too hot. It looks like the 2 checked up a little bit earlier. That was Rhett McBride checking up for the 91 in front of him. But the 1 machine just drove right into the back of the number 2 car as either the 2 braked early or the 1 braked late. That was going into 3 just before that incident happened. So both those drivers going to have, I guess you have to say, a biased look at what actually happened at a 4, considering that they got together just about 10 seconds before that. And again, both those machines pretty much scrapped. Thomas J. George is still behind the wall. Rhett McBride is going to be the one that is out on the racetrack with a fairly clean-looking car.
lap and a half away from going back to green flag racing. David Comstock, though, probably the beneficiary of that one. He is still the race leader. Eric Grundy's going to restart to the outside of the 20 once again. And McBride now going to drop to the end of the line. He gets the EOL penalty. And I'm looking at this now. You know, we were talking about the 85 and the 1. Those were the two guys that got a speeding penalty. And, you know, that's exactly the point that I was making earlier, Evan. A speeding penalty is what put Thomas J. George back in that hornet's nest for him to be involved in that in the first place. He was running top 5 before that pit road penalty, and that's how quickly things can change. You make one mistake and it can be magnified.
Yeah, and if you're that driver that gets caught up in the incident, you have a right to be upset because either you feel that somebody did you wrong or you're a victim of circumstances. But as you said, at the end of the day, if you did not make that speeding mistake on pit road, get penalized for that, you would not have been in that incident. So right now, again, still behind the wall. Looks like he'll drop to about 30th spot, Jacob. He did enter tonight, when you look at the championship standings, third. He needs to make the top 12 cutoff, but he will not have nearly as much of a cushion as he would have if this race had been done at the lap 75 point. As we're doubled up, getting set to go back green, it's going to be a little 25 to go restart.
Oh, he thought the first 95 laps were interesting. I don't think we're done by any stretch. But David Comstock trying to be the second non-chaser in a row to spoil the party. Eric Grundy's, Nathan Little, Matt Lacrosse up to 4th now as we get ready to go green. Green flag in the air here as they cross the granite stripe. Comstock, your leader. Nathan Little trying to make a move on Grundy's for second. Can't do it. He'll fall
we
back
got
in the
trouble
line.
with 68. Scott Simley in 1 and 2. Trill's trying to hang on to it. He saves it. The 68 was about 45 degrees sideways 3 times, and they were 4 or 5 wide, and they all hang on to it. After the 43 got into it, we got to get a replay of that up. There's no way those guys did not pile them in 1 and 2.
I'm blown away. I really am, Evan. This is insane.
There's no way they didn't wreck there. And now caution, trouble at the back.
Yeah, caution flag. You knew that was coming. You knew after that incident they had used up all their luck. And boy, I think we're still so in shock by what happened with the 68 of Scott Simley. I don't even... Did we catch what the actual caution was out for, Evan?
Well, we saw the 66 machine of Harvey, who, again, on that restart, he was able to navigate through what all went down there. And again, off of that restart, it was the 68 machine who had all the trouble. The 66 went around, he was able to avoid it, and it's going to be for Brian Harvey off of corner number 4. Looks like a checkup by the 36 machine. He goes low to avoid him. Little does he know, the 78 of Brandon Peterson is there and just goes right over the nose of the 78 machine into the inside wall. So back under caution, but I think we'll go with that 1 car wreck as opposed to what could have been a 20 car wreck down there into 1 and 2, because I still can't get over. They all wrecked in 1 and 2. They just didn't hit anything somehow, because that was, again, 4 or 5 wide with cars 45 degrees sideways. Could have been a lot uglier than it was, but some of these guys maybe just close their eyes. They're able to hang on. We go back under yellow.
I don't recommend closing your eyes at this place, so that's not conducive to any sort of good driving. But Evan, I go back to the line that Kenny Wallace used about the Winston back when it was called that in 2000. Now, I don't know if you remember this. You may have been a little bit young, but the year that it started raining in turn 1 on the green flag and all the cars wrecked and they went to a backup, and Jeff Gordon won that night. But I just can't get over Kenny Wallace that day. That's exactly what we just had happen in turn 1. All the cars wrecked.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm sure a lot of these guys that have had some issues would like for them to restart this one and get their backups out, but unfortunately that's not going to work, and that's going to pay or cost, for that matter, the likes of Thomas J. George. We've had a lot of chasers, Jacob, have either self-inflicting incidents, self-inflicting mistakes, or just victim of circumstances in these first 2 races. And You can see that obviously with RSR running the new NASCAR Sprint Cup Series style chase for the championship, you can definitely tell that the intensity is up there. This next restart is going to be with less than 20 to go, which means it's only going to be that much more wild than what we just saw. They're going to get 2 to go this time by, so I think that's going to be about 19 or 18 laps to go once we get the green flag.
And people say the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series doesn't relate to NASCAR at all. This is about looking like exactly what happened on Sunday. Last night, or yesterday afternoon, I guess would be the operative term, at the Magic Mile. I mean, Evan, we look back to the Sprint Cup race, and 9 of the 16 chasers were involved in an incident. Brad Keselowski wrecked on lap 197, and he was leading at lap 250 with a shot to win it. You can wreck and come back, but the problem is tonight, these chasers who have gotten into things, basically their cars have been tore up bad enough that they can't come back from it the way the 2 crew did, and we've seen about as many chasers involved in accidents in tonight's RSR event as we saw yesterday afternoon in Loudon for the Cup guys.
And it's just the way this race is going to play out. There's such little banking, and the progressive banking from 2 to 7 degrees is nothing for these cars. So it's a short track mentality that you got to take into this. We've seen the guys use the bumpers. We've seen them be bouncing off of each other's doors. It's only race 2 out of 10, Jacob. Imagine when we get down the line here towards this championship. It is really going to get fun. David Comstock, again, fast car on the short runs, has actually done a really solid job tonight. Has picked up the long run speed from last week in Chicago. He continues to run P1. He may be able to ride out these cautions as long as he can continue to get some good restarts. And I mean, he's been picking up half a second on Brundys and company right off these restarts in the first lap. If he's able to continue to put those gaps on the rest of the field, and we ride out a couple more cautions, we could see yet another non-chaser taking victory lane. We're set to go back green.
Yeah, we are. I wouldn't hold your breath, though. There's a guy back in 10th that I'm keeping my eye on, and his name is Adam Benefiel as we work off turn number 4. Pace cars in, green flag in the air. They're side by side for the lead. Back in the pack. We got trouble! Big trouble! 10, 12, 14 cars. Matt Lacrosse gets the worst of it. He was the first car to go around, and we've torn up about 15 cars on the front straightaway. Stenzel's front end demolished. It's the big one at New Hampshire, and this is costly for about 90% of the chase field. 4th on back, I think, involved in this one.
And it looks like the first car with trouble is going to be the 21 of Matt Lacrosse. They'll spin. It's that tire spin, and trying to get going, just put it in the wall. The 55 is right there, and this is a lot of chase contenders. You gotta keep it on. The 58 is able to just squeak by. That's Wilson, but the 55 machine is right there. The Amsoil machine that we've seen up front. The 96, the 26, the 85 of Benefield that you mentioned you were keeping an eye on, Jacob. Pretty much drove straight through it as the replay goes up. Got relatively no damage. Stenzel with heavy engine damage. The 11, the 78, the 06, the 4, the 68, the 48 with some description of damage. And wow, that just happened.
That just happened.
Whatever that is, it happened.
Yeah, you said it right there, Evan. I don't know what that was, but whatever that was, it did just happen. And I'm looking at the Amsoil Toyota. I don't see if there is any damage to Dan Murray's car. It is ever so slight. I don't know how he got through that mess, because literally they were crashing at his nose. But somehow, I think the 55 is unscathed in this disaster. The problem is, one of the fastest cars in this race has had the whole front end ripped off. Adam Benefiel was back there in 10th. He tried to cut low to avoid it, just couldn't. His night, after being the race's dominant car for the first 75 laps, looks to be over. He's still in 6th right now. He's staying out there, but that car is basically junked. You can see it. There's no front end on it anymore. And again, Evan, it's like we talked about. Had he not had the speeding penalty, we wouldn't even be talking about this.
And it's interesting to note on that 85, it doesn't look like there's a lot of chassis damage on the front of that 85. It looks like they almost just took the front clip right off of it. And he is not coming down pit road. So see what Adam Benefield can do. Again, the nose is gone. It looks like the left front may have a little bit of damage, but not a lot of chassis damage on the front end of that.
I just heard a comment from Thomas J. George over the radio, and he just alluded to the Sprint Cup race like we were right before that restart. He said over the radio, well, boys, it's just like Sunday. Chase contenders go kaboom.
And we're not done yet. We're going to go at it at least one more time on these restarts, if not
more. Yeah, if not more. And oh, by the way, Brandon Peterson, remember, he was last in the chase grid coming into this. I think he got through that relatively unscathed. He at least survived it better than some of these guys did. Peterson could stand to make up some points here tonight. That Furniture Row Chevrolet may not be out of this just yet. He's got a little bit of work to do. Looks like he's going to restart 17th. But I'm going to check on this, Evan. Did he come down and get some fresh rubber under this caution? Peterson.
Well, that 7-8 machine, right now, he sits P17. He did come down, and looks like he did take 4 tires under this most recent caution flag for him in the Furniture Row Toyota machine.
Ah, okay. So just like that. Peterson, come down, get 4 fresh tires. You got 14 laps. If they start wrecking again and you can get through it, boy, you're sitting really pretty then. And it looks like we're going to get the restart here with about 13 laps to go. Comstock, Grundy's, Little, Wilson, Dan Murray, the top 5. Jonathan Cadell is back up to 7th after he made it through that disaster. Wow. You know, I'm starting to look at this. Actually, a lot more chase contenders than I originally thought made it through that, just not the ones we've been talking about all day. Grundy's in 2nd, Little in 3rd, Wilson in 4th, Murray 5th, Benefield's still out there in 6th with a ripped-up front end, Cadell 7th, Gonzalez 8th, LeVere 9th. So actually half of our chase grid is in the top 9 positions. Just the one position that matters is being occupied by a non-chaser, exactly like last week in Chicago. So, what that sets up is 13 laps to the finish. Lights are out on the iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car. We are going to try this again and see if we can get more than about 500 yards in. As they work off corner number 4, David Comstock, Eric Grundy's, green flag in the air, back in the pack, we're going, oh, Dan Murray's not going, he's slow. There is some damage to that car that we're not seeing. Murray either didn't get up to speed or that car is hurting right now as he is getting passed left and right. CJ LeVere's down there. Looks like the 11. Jonathan Cadell gets stuck to the inside. He'll be the next one to try and make a move.
Oh, 3 wide.
3 wide. Yikes. That is the 11 of Cadell, the 68, I believe, of Scott Sinley going to the inside. He made it through that mess. Meanwhile, David Comstock out in front by 2 car lengths over, make it 5 car lengths over Eric Grundy's. He's pulling away, 12 to go.
Con Simley was real aggressive there on Chase Driver, the number 11 machine. He's able to pick up 2 spots. He gets clear of Dan Murray as well. That's going to put him up to what is going to be position number 9. The top 10, excluding that short battle there, is single filed out. I said Comstock was good on the short run. This time by, they're going to take lap 110. It's going to be 11 laps remaining. The gap was 0.4 last time by. This time, when scoring cycles through 6/10. David Comstock, he's running away with it in the number 1 spot.
Yeah, he is. And what's helping him is the battle for 2nd. Justin Wilson is laying on the back bumper of Eric Grundy's, and now he surges to the inside down the back straightaway. He'll take the number 2 position in that number 58 Chevrolet SS. Justin Wilson, the 2-time winner this season, passes the championship leader. He'll move to the number 2 position and set his sights on the race lead. There's just 10 laps to go. Grundy's isn't done with him, though. It's 1.2 seconds from the leader back to the battle for 2nd, but Grundy's is trying to come back on it.
Benefield is able to pick up position number 5 as he closes in on the 41 machine at 8th and Little in 4th. That 85, again, still working without that front clip on it. Jonathan Cadell is going the wrong direction, Jacob. The strutmasters.com Toyota back to what's going to be 12 and maybe 13th as the two machine Rhett McBride trying to get around him. That machine riding around without a hood from corner number 4, but Comstock continuing to pull away 2 more tenths that time by. 1.3 seconds to Justin Wilson, who is second, and company. As Eric Brundys is in third. It's pretty much a race for second, and this looks like, unless we see another caution here, which is still possible inside of 10 to go, we may see back-to-back non-chase drivers steal the show.
The chasers that are out here that were involved in that crash, as we come to 8 laps to go, they just look like the band of misfits. You know, it's like the island of misfit toys. If we're getting closer to Christmas, you know, think about Rudolph. They all look like little misfits. No, crickets.
That's an analogy. I have to say I haven't heard that one yet, so I will. I'll keep that in. I'll keep that in the bank, and I'll next time I see the situation, I'll bring that one up.
Nah, I tried. 7 laps to go. Meanwhile, Comstock, you talked about him, Evan. A second and a half. He leads Justin Wilson. Brundys third. Nathan Little fourth. Adam Benefield top 5. I don't know how that car looks like it's gone through a wood chipper or something. It's, oh boy. Benefield's done a nice job to hold on to a top 5 spot. 4 chasers right there. Lockstep. The problem is they cannot get to the one spot that matters. David Comstock was a newbie last week. He may be an RSR winner this week. He is 5.5 laps away from victory lane off turn 2.
I'm telling you, it's just that front clip from Benefield. The rest of the car looks pretty good. He's trying to get in on the 41 and Nathan Little. He got to the left rear that time through 1 and 2, but it is a 3-car battle for third. The 85 driving it in a little bit harder. But, I mean, we're coming down here. Not a lot of laps left, Jacob. No green-white checkers, so if that 20 can knock down one more lap, caution would end this race.
Yeah, it would, and he is just driving away with it now. 1.7 back to Justin Wilson. The Monster Energy Chevrolet is a monster on the racetrack right now, and he is going to be 4 miles from home. Cody Bias Racing may be celebrating a victory here in about 5 more minutes. 4 laps to go here in the New England 120, and it's all Comstock. He leads at Loudon.
DJ Laverta, number 4, Coca-Cola Chevrolet, is going to get around chase contender Jose Gonzalez. So CJ's going to be able to put himself up into the number 6 spot. Again, CJ, one of the chase drivers. So is Jose. How about Jose picking it up? He needed a solid run. He got into some trouble early on. Still rides right now top 10. That's going to be very beneficial for him after he entered tonight 15th out of 16 in the championship standings. He should be able to pick up on some of the misfortune of some of these other chase drivers. And Jose may have a little bit of a better standing moving into the final race of this first round.
Yeah, he may, and Brandon Peterson on fresh tires has run his way to the top 10. He rides in 10th. He needed this run in the Furniture Row number 78 to even have a prayer going to Dover of advancing. He's done what he needed to do. Right now, though, the driver doing everything right is that Monster Chevrolet. David Comstock 2 laps from home as all the chasers trying to run him down.
Yeah, he's just so fast on this quick, short run, and he is just absolutely set sail. 2 seconds plus over Justin Wilson. That's not an easy task. The Joey Chattina Racing Chevrolet Wilson has pulled away now 8 tenths from Eric Brundys, who rides third. Nathan Little fourth. Adam Benefield fifth. Continuing to try to get down to the 41 at Nathan Little, who has been able to hold off Benefield for the last handful of laps. White flag in the air, Jacob. The 20 of Comstock has 1 mile to go.
Yeah, he does, and I think that white flag is the flag of surrender for the rest of this field. 2 1/4 seconds for the driver of the Cody Bias Racing Monster Energy Chevrolet as he works down the back straightaway. Last weekend, he was a newbie, a rookie in RSR Cup Series competition. Tonight, he is a winner as he works off the final set of corners. David Comstock's going to his first career RSR Full Throttle Cup Series victory. He wins the New England 120 here in Loudon, New Hampshire, and for the 2nd week in a row, a non-chaser spoils the party. Justin Wilson second, Eric Brundys third, Nathan Little fourth, and Adam Benefield minus the front end. comes home 5th, followed by Gonzalez, Lavere, Simley, Joey Jettina 9th, and the drive by Brandon Peterson to come home in 10th. But David Comstock, in just his 2nd career start, going to victory lane here at New Hampshire.
Now, I'll tell you, CJ Lavere, who we said he had gotten the position from Jose and was in 6th, he gave it a Hail Mary effort down into 3 to try to get something on Adam Benefield and just straight overdrove that thing, nearly put it in the fence, got sideways off the corner, nearly wrecked, and that is what allowed Jose Gonzalez to get through and clear of him. So Jose is able to steal that number 6 position, and CJ will drop back to a number 7 place result. But you talked about it, Brandon Peterson, he will get that top 10 that he so badly needed in the Denver Mattress Toyota.
Yes, he will, and when we come back, after taking care of some final business, we'll talk to a winner, a rookie, just his 2nd RSR start tonight, but he has added his name to the list of greats. David Comstock wins in New England. We'll talk with him and hand him a lobster when we come back from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. This is LSR TV. The Garry Mercer Trucking post-race show is next.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Welcome back to the Garry Mercer Trucking post-race show here. LSRTV coverage tonight of the New England 120 from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Round 2 of the chase for the Full Throttle Cup is in the books with a second non-chase winner going to victory lane. Here it is. This time it's David Comstock picking up the win in the Monster Energy Cody Bias Racing Chevrolet. He picks up the victory. Justin Wilson coming home in second. Third tonight, Eric Brundy's the championship leader, retains his lead. Nathan Little fourth. Adam Benefiel with no front end finishes in the top 5. Jose Gonzalez picks off CJ LeVere at the line for 6th. Scott Simley 8th. Joey Jattina 9th. And Brandon Peterson 10th. And 8 of the top 10 drivers, Evan, even after a crash that took out about 10 of them, 8 of the top 10 are still chasers from 11th on back. I'll give it to you.
And Rhett McBride's able to come home at 11th place result for him after being overtaken by Brandon Peterson there in the closing laps. Kevin Linden going to get a solid 12th place result. Jonathan Cadell, who is one of those chase drivers that had some trouble tonight, able to recover for a 13th place result. John Wilco, the number 62 machine, A Quiet Night, will finish in 14th spot. Corbin Hemstreet, after running top 5, will come home 15th. Douglas White, Hippie Doug White, the number 9 machine, back tonight in the Budweiser machine, 16th place. Rich Jet with a 17th place finish. Doug Roth, 18th position. Dan Murray, first car, 1 lap down to number 55, comes home at 19th. And Sherry Ann Mills going to round out the top 20.
21st tonight, Steve Gottschalk, Brennan Mercer, 2 laps down in 22nd. 23rd to the 98 of Stephen Herring. 24th is Ed Williams Jr. 25th, Michael Woolley. 26th, Scott Stenzel. Those two out of the race, as were Mitch Rollo, 27th. Matt Lacrosse, 28th. Brian Harvey, 29th. And Thomas J. George, one of the chasers, taking a big hit tonight in 30th. James Robinson, John Higman Jr., Keith Brooks Jr., the final 3 cars that took the green flag, all of them experiencing problems earlier on in tonight's race. And Evan, if you were a chaser tonight, especially if you were involved in that multi-car crash just after lap 100, your championship hopes going to Dover took a big hit.
Yeah, there's been a lot of shifting in the championship standings. If this was exciting, Dover getting up on those high banks is definitely going to be an exciting one. It's a really close down around that number 12 transfer position. But Jacob, you're down there. You've caught up with our 3rd place finisher, giving it the 94 machine. That is Eric Brundy's.
Yeah, the championship leader coming in is the championship leader leaving tonight and maintains about the same margin. It's going to be 4 points as opposed to 3 points coming into the night. So, Eric, you extend the championship lead by the smallest of margins, but have a strong run. I didn't expect this out of you when you were running about 16th around lap 50 tonight. What was the difference that allowed you to get as far forward as you did and ultimately come home tonight with a podium position in 3rd?
Well, you know, we played the strategy game at the end. We struggled in qualifying and practice. And, you know, early through the race, we were fast. We just got, you know, stuck in traffic, and it's so hard to pass, especially on the low side. So, you know, we just, you know, it was frustrating at times. We kept our cool and eventually just, you know, took 2 tires there at the end, and it was definitely the right call. And I know somehow came away with 3rd.
Pick up that 3rd place finish tonight, continues a run of consistency that goes back all the way to the season opener at Daytona. Eric, for you now, you carry the championship lead, and barring something completely bizarre, you're all but locked into the contender 12 now, headed to races 4, 5, and 6. Just have to survive Dover, and basically you come away with a top 10, even a top 15 run. You're locked in. Does that take any of the pressure off you going to next Monday night?
Oh, yeah, it does. You know, I'll have to check. We might be mathematically in by now. I don't know. I know going in tonight we had a 31-point lead on 13, so we should be in good shape. But, you know, we're just going to go out. There's, you know, pressure's off next week. We just want to have a clean run, and Dover's a really good track for me. I think we finished 2nd there in June, so or 3rd. But so yeah, we'll do that, and then we'll reset the points all over again for Charlotte.
And looking at it right here, just got the updated numbers. It is a 42-point lead for you over 13th. So it basically comes down to how many cars enter that race next week at Dover. 36 or less, and you are automatically going on to round number 2. So, Eric, certainly a strong run tonight. Before we let you go, who makes it happen for you in the 94 team?
I want to thank Pennzoil. I want to thank Main Performance PC. I want to thank Amy for watching, and you guys for a magnificent broadcast. I really enjoyed every week. Thanks.
That's the championship leader. Eric Brundies takes a 4-point margin over Adam Benefield to the final race of the Challenger round next week at the Monster Mile at Dover. Evan Pasoko, I'm throwing it down to the opposite end of pit road where you have caught up with our runner-up tonight, Justin Wilson.
Justin Wilson is going to be able to come home with a second-place result. And, Justin, before we get to the details of the race, the details of the points, walk us through that final restart. Did you have anything for the 20 machine of David Comstock, or was he just too fast for you in that short run?
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, he was just wicked fast. I couldn't figure it out. We were struggling all day on trying to figure out the line for the for this track and this car, but we just weren't there. We played strategy to get us to the front. That's about all I could say.
The last half of this race featured about 5 wrecks, one of them 15-plus cars. How did you navigate through that? And did you have any close calls there to be able to be at least up front in contention there at the end?
No, we were fortunate enough to be right there beside that accident. So it happened right when we were passing. So pretty much everybody behind me got collected, which really gave me a shot to really work this last runoff, because we decided to take 4 tires when everybody else stayed out, and that's the only reason we were up there, because these guys were fast. We were struggling all race to just crack the top 10, so I'm very excited for the second place finish.
Taking a look at the updated standings, there's a green box for the guy that gained the most points position. You're going to get that. You go up 6 spots. You're going to be P7 in the championship standings going into the final race of the opening round with a 12-point advantage over the 13th place, which is the first spot that would be eliminated, 13th through 16th. With that being said, and looking forward to the Monster Mile, how confident are you rolling into Dover?
Well, we ran really good here earlier this year. We just got caught up while leading in a lap car incident, so hopefully we can run as well as we did earlier this year, but a different outcome, of course.
And definitely, before we let you walk away, as always, sponsors, shout-outs, who makes it happen for you with the number 58 race team?
First person I think is Joey Katina. Again, he's one that's letting me race for him this year. Can't thank him enough. I feel like we've done really well this year to support him. Ryan Vaughn for spotting for me. Scott Stenzel, he was helping me out there at the end after he got caught up in that wreck, talking me through it. So I'd like to thank pretty much my whole team.
And definitely, well, congratulations. You're the highest finishing chase driver, but for 2 weeks in a row, it's going to be a non-chase driver that comes in and steals the show. Congrats on the solid finish. Good luck rolling forward. We hope to see you move on.
Thank you.
Jacob, that is Justin Wilson. He comes home in second. I mentioned that it's the second week in a row where second is going to be a chase driver. You're down there with the guy that steals the show, David Comstock in Victory Lane.
He stole the show with a brilliant car, brilliant drive, and in just his second start in the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series, David Comstock is a winner down here in Victory Lane. David, first off, you had a brilliant car underneath you tonight. Talk about that drive, because it just looked like, especially on the short run tonight, you could put that car wherever you wanted and run away when you were in clean air.
Yeah, well, the start of it, I actually had missed the start. I thought we had a few minutes before on warm-up, and so I went to go get something to drink and came back and had missed it. So got on track and was running the same pace as the leaders and had that first caution. Just took a gamble, decided to stay out, see what the car would do on old tires, and was able to hold my own, thankfully, and got close to having green flag pit stops. And luckily the caution came out for us, and we were able to get back on the same cycle with the leaders. And then when we had that short lower run again, was committed to take 2 tires that we pitted, but I was trying to fake Adam out to try to put him in traffic, and everybody else came down pit road except for Nathan and I, and so we thought we were done for, and then the cautions just kept falling for us. So almost got our teammates Nathan and Eric there a 1-2-3 for the night, but we still got a top 5, so we're happy with that.
Talk about an unbelievable drive for you. I don't think any of us really expected this kind of dominance from you tonight, David. We knew you were fast in Chicagoland. It just didn't look like you had found the long-run speed. You found it tonight, and then were able to convert the short-run speed you already had late in the race with all the cautions, with the restarts there at the tail end. Did that make you nervous at all behind the wheel?
Just that initial caution when we had stayed out, I thought that it was going to go green again all the way to the end, and having a bit older tires, we had ran a few laps again. It was kind of like the start of the race again, where we're on old tires and the leaders are on newer tires, and we wouldn't be able to hold as well up on the longer runs as the leaders would. But just cautions kept falling, and we just kept managing those restarts.
And looking at this now, you jumped to the top of the board as far as the non-chasers in the final 10 races here, and obviously for you, you just started running with this series last week in Chicagoland, pick up a win this week. Is the plan for you now just to see what you can do about crashing the party here for the rest of this season?
Yeah, sure. We'll do what we can to rustle some feathers. Hopefully not the chase drivers. We don't want to get involved with them and get caught up in any of their points battles that they have. But Brendan Mercer, I gotta thank him. He's brought me along for this round here to end out the season to help for the team and get points stacked up so we can have a real good finish here.
And for you, first career win tonight. I know you can't do it by yourself. You and the entire Monster Energy team. Who makes it happen for David Comstock?
Definitely Monster Energy. I would like to thank Brendan Mercer for bringing me along again, and Garry Mercer Trucking. Would also like to thank my teammates on the other end. I'm teammates with Cody Bias and Cody Bias Racing, so I'd like to thank them for allowing me to come over here and do this on the off time.
Yeah, we've seen that Bias Racing team that you've been underneath, certainly doing a lot on the pro side here late. But David, you can take this back to them and celebrate tonight. You are a winner in RSR competition. Congratulations, my friend, and certainly take tonight to enjoy it. We'll see you next Monday at the Monster Mile.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week.
That's David Comstock, the race winner down here in Gatorade Victory Lane. And as we get ready to wrap things up here at the Monster Mile, certainly it's been exciting. Final thoughts, Evan? We saw about 10, 11 chasers tonight involved in different skirmishes at one point or another. The few that survive, boy, they make some strides up the standings, but it is going to be exciting. Headed to Dover between 15th with Jason Lester missing tonight. He'll be eliminated automatically, but from 15th up to 8th, it's 19 points between those 7, 8 positions. Dover next Monday night. Hold on tight, it's going to be good.
Yeah, it's almost scary to think that we're just getting warmed up. And you've seen the increase in intensity in these drivers, because they know that with following this new chase format that the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is using, it's correlated exactly in real life as it is here. They're driving them in harder, people are lifting less, the racing has been more exciting. Again, another wild one. All of those wrecks, the adversity that some of these guys showed that stayed out there with half of their race car not even left on it anymore. And we're going to go to the high banks of Dover, Delaware in 1 week's time. Going to be a fun one for sure to kick off the, rather to close out the first round. And then we get set for at least 7 more.
Yes, we do. It's gonna get fun. Right now, as it stands, Steve Gottschalk, the last man in, Jose Gonzalez, the first man out, but it's Eric Brundys who holds the championship lead after round 2 of the Chase for the Full Throttle Cup. He'll take a 4-point lead into round number 3 next week at Dover before it all resets again, but we're done tonight from Loudon, New Hampshire. Congratulations again to David Comstock, who picks up an improbable win in the New England 120 tonight. And for all our staff here, our executive producer Laura Lawson, and my broadcast partner Evan Pasoko, I'm Jacob Seelman. Race fans, keep it off the wall until we meet again, and we'll see you next Monday right here on the web. Don't forget Asphalt Assault tomorrow night at 9:30 right here on LSR TV. Until then, we'll see you. Good night, everybody.